members of the government, my esteemed opposition member. I'd like to make a few quick points that just to build on everything that he said. The fact remains, as I pointed out earlier in my introductory speech, that the numbers don't lie. And on top of that, I'm going to really establish this point just so that it's clear. It's a point we've been making all along, is that qualified students are qualified, unqualified students are not qualified. The nature of removing bias from the equation with standardized testing versus interviews is impractical and is impossible. Students who are able to enter an interview as opposed to a standardized test, students with more money and more ability to prepare are going to be better prepared. They will have access to suits, ties, public speaking classes, prestigious parents. The fact is that the biases that exist in standardized testing and admissions and corporate culture will also exist using the system that the government proposes. The only difference is the government has proposed a more expensive and more cumbersome method of removing the metrics that we have consistently discussed as being supplemental to the status quo in their plan. And I want to expand upon that by speaking about the point that the government made discussing the ability to take the test as not correlating with life success. The fact remains that the ability to take a test is in itself highly correlative with the ability to do a job. Following instructions, being able to process cognitively is very important. Your aptitude in processing cognitively, which is something that the SAT of all of the tests measures more of than the ability to simply answer questions and give you an aptitude of your learning level at that point, is far more useful and far more nuanced in its value than the ability to determine educational ability at that point. Though the idea that tests are biased insofar as that poorer areas typically score lower is actually a plus to our argument insofar as that we in the opposition believe that by singling out and highlighting districts with insufficient education through the use of these tests, we know where funding needs to be redistributed. And that's key. As my esteemed member of the opposition pointed out, the system has a gross pre-existing inadequacy insofar as that residential taxes correlate with school district taxes, and this can be rectified by means of being able to judge a student's performance via these metrics that we lift from these tests. Finally, college admissions. The fact remains that development cases will remain development cases. If you are not qualified to go to a school and your parents buy your way into that school, you're still going to get into that school. Colleges and jobs run on the same patrician, old world ideas that we've had for years. We cannot remove these biases from private industry. We cannot remove these biases from private higher education. We cannot remove these biases from private secondary education. And that is key. We are not arguing that our method will remove all biases. We are arguing that it removes more biases than the method proposed by the government, and that the government's proposal is inherently opening the door to additional biases and additional cost, incurring the same biases insofar as that more money, more preparation, more prestigious family backing will all play into the interview just as much as they will play into standardized testing scores. And for these reasons and more, we believe that maintaining standardized testing is both essential and intrinsic to the American process in both corporate and scholastic America. Thank you.